everyone! Today I am here with a trip report. I personally love watching trip reports and people's experiences with psychedelic substances. I just love watching story times in general, so I thought, why not share today one of my stories from this year with mushrooms. I love mushrooms. Thumbs up if you love mushrooms, any kind. So I have tried mushrooms before this experience. I had gotten a glimpse of what mushrooms could provide for me, but I had never done like a big enough dose to actually have like a full experience. And I know that I still have a lot more to come with mushrooms, but I really enjoyed this one that I had a few months ago, so I wanted to share it. Here in Costa Rica, mushrooms grow like crazy. You can find them in a lot of places, but I normally don't know exactly where to go myself, or I just wouldn't want to go alone. So it was the perfect time to get some because my friend had posted that he had found a bunch of mushrooms, like so many, like 400. Super quick side note, guys, I just wanted to mention that the type of mushrooms that we ate are psilocybin, and I just wanted to remind you, although I don't recommend taking any legal or illegal substance, if you just are going to eat mushrooms anyway, please make sure that you've researched the type of mushrooms that you have around so that they are safe and not poisonous, just like we made sure that they are safe. And he was drying them. He does not sell them or anything. So what we did is that I traded him some of my haré that I had that was too strong for me. He really wanted some of that, so I traded him some of that for some mushrooms. While I was at his place getting the mushrooms, he offered for us to eat some of his and just trip together with his other friend that was there. I wouldn't normally just trip out of the blue without planning it, but I felt comfortable, I felt safe, so I was like, why not? So sure enough, we start cutting up the mushrooms that were already dried into little tiny pieces so we could eat them in that way and our stomachs could digest them better. So that's always a good idea. It was between midnight and almost 1 in the morning when we were starting to eat them, and turns out my friend didn't have anything else but iced tea. I was like, okay, I'm a trooper, I can do this just with iced tea. Mind you, I had not eaten for hours, but anyway, I couldn't even bite the things. I don't like the texture. The taste is fine, I don't like the texture. So I would put clumps of the mushrooms on my tongue and just drink it. It was not that pleasant, but not terrible. I mean, it was a little terrible, but it's fine. It's better than nothing. So anyway, we eat the mushrooms. My friend did about 5 grams, which is a lot. I did about 3 grams, if not a little bit less, like 2.5. So we were just chilling, waiting for the mushrooms to kick in. But I quickly, within about 30 minutes, I was already feeling giggly and the energy just rise from my stomach. I just love the energy of mushrooms. I can't help but feel that LSD and mushrooms are so different. I don't want to discredit LSD, it has so much potential and I acknowledge that. So much healing that it can do. The camera cut off. But personally, mushrooms are just a whole nother level for me. I just love mushrooms. So because I have such a beautiful perspective on mushrooms and I've researched on them and I'm aware of all that the healing they can do and offer, I was so excited for this trip. Even though we were not in anywhere special, we were safe. We were just in my friend's room. And we were just listening to tipper kind of music, if you know, just beautiful and relaxed instrumental electronic music. And so I started to feel the effects more and more, and I was feeling more aware of my body and my breathing and how my stomach was feeling, and I was very, very happy. Up until the point where I became so aware of my stomach and how it was feeling. Remember, it was pretty much empty except all the iced tea I had chugged down and mushrooms. So my stomach was a little apprehensive about the whole situation, and I hadn't done mushrooms in over a year, remember that. So my stomach got a little bit uncomfortable, but you know, that's nothing new to me. So I was just trying to remind myself it was gonna pass, like you're gonna be fine, you're gonna digest this fine. It's always good to talk to yourself. It might sound crazy, but again, this could all sound crazy, whatever. Be aware of what's happening, but remind yourself that you are gonna be okay, you're just tripping, you're gonna be fine. The music was sounding amazing. I was pretty comfortable. I had warm clothes on and I had my poncho all covering me up, and I had high socks. Like, there was no way that I could be cold with all of that inside a room with closed windows. But I was getting really, really cold. So I was starting to think and overthink how cold I was feeling, because I was really shivering. And you know when you shiver, like, you know, you're in a mountain and you're extremely cold and you're shivering to the point that it hurts, like your muscles, because you're shivering so hard you just want to stop moving, you just want to be calm. You're shivering, your muscles are tense. So I was shivering a lot, but I was only shivering and like shaking on my thighs, shivering a lot. And I tried to mentalize myself, like I could stop, and I would stop a little bit, but I would go back and just start shivering and shaking, but only on my legs. And I mentioned to my friend, like, I feel so cold, I don't know why. And he looked at me and he laughed. So to make a long story short, I was shivering for I don't know how long. You know, when you're tripping, time warps, it expands and shrinks, and you don't really know how much time is passing by, but goodness, I can tell you, I was shivering for about like at least 20 minutes. It felt like an hour. Got to the point that it was really painful. My thighs were really in pain, and I was tripping, so when I am tripping, I overthink every thought and analyze it quite a lot. So I came to the conclusion that I might not ever stop shivering and shaking. My legs hurt, like my muscles hurt. I just wanted it to stop. Now you can imagine, I was tripping and I had started so beautifully, and now I was getting a bit anxious and I was a little bit uncomfortable. I mentioned to my friend, who is a very experienced tripper, that I was shaking a lot and I was so cold. I was like, how weird that I'm so cold here and there's no way I could be so fucking cold. And he laughed. And in that moment, it just made sense, what I had been kind of thinking, but I was like, there's no way. I wasn't really cold. It was energy that was built up in my thighs, on my body, that was just vibrating at such a speed that it felt like cold, because that's just how you would normally feel if you're like this, you know, you're cold. It wasn't cold, you guys, it was built up energy that I had to release. When I realized that, I really tried my hardest to visualize just like calmness on my thighs, and I went over them like this, and I just said to myself, like, this is just energy, you need to release this, like, calm down. And so my legs stopped shaking completely. I was so happy I stopped shaking, because my muscles were just in pain, and it was so nice for them to be relaxed and not like this. And all of a sudden I get this discomfort. Oh, that's all I can explain it as. And I knew I had to go to the bathroom and throw this up. So I just walked quickly to the bathroom. I hadn't moved the whole time, so it was good to like change environments, but I got to the bathroom and I just threw my life up. I threw up so much. I just remember like, oh, it reminds me of ayahuasca. It reminded me of ayahuasca. That's another good point. I just grabbed my hair like this and I was just throwing up, and it felt so weird to have your stomach contents go out. I mean, I'm sure you've maybe thrown up in your life, you know what I mean? But it's already weird. But while you're tripping on mushrooms and you're mega hyper aware of every single thing going on, It's a little weird, it's a little strange. But it was so good. It reminded me of being like in an ayahuasca ceremony. It felt like a purge. It definitely was. So don't be afraid if these kind of things happen. Just have to trust the medicine. And if I would have resisted that, oh, I can only imagine the hard time that I would have had trying to resist letting it out. It's just so much easier to let it out, although it may seem intimidating sometimes. So I clean myself up and I look in the mirror. Ooh, that's always a weird one. Looking in the mirror, you're just like, I can't believe this is me. What? And then I walked out the bathroom, and you guys, I kid you not, I felt like a brand new person. Just like anything that was weighing me down, any discomfort I felt, gone, go like that. And I just felt like my vibration had risen so much, like things were weighing me down, my life in general. And that was a pivotal point where I just let it go, truly, literally. And I could just rise to our natural frequency. I feel like in life we're sometimes taught that we have to reach this goal, but I feel like we already inherently are that high vibration. It's just things in life that weigh us down, and so we have to uncover those layers and practice the art of letting go. Of course, with one experience like that, you're not automatically leveled up. You have to do the self-work. But I could just feel all the motivation and love for life. I came back to the room with my friends, like, dude, you guys, I told them all that happened, like I just told you. They were so happy for me. My friend was like, yeah, I didn't say very much earlier, I just left because I just knew that it was energy you had to let go. And that's so rad. That's so cool that people could notice that. There comes the importance of being surrounded with people whom you truly trust and feel safe with. By then, you would think maybe since I threw up, the trip went away. It surely did not. I had absorbed what I needed to absorb, thankfully. So the trip continued on, and I was just riding this wave of happiness and gratitude and wholeness. And we were watching this Alex Gray art video where they did some effects on it, and I'll play some right now so you can see what I mean. And this art, Alex Gray, you already know it's amazing, and these effects they put on it, it just makes everything look so wholesome and complete and unified. So watching this on mushrooms, it's already amazing, but on mushrooms, oh my mushroom, I cannot describe it. It's so hard to describe. These experiences are indescribable, but it's fun to try to explain it. Basically, just like the effects show and the art shows so much unity and wholeness, that's exactly what was transmitting to me. Watching this, I felt like everything in life just made sense. Insight, I would say more insight than anything. Insight on all that is possible, because again, I feel like there's so much more potential for me. So yes, it's another day and I'm still editing because I suck, but I want to explain more of what I mean by the insight that I was getting. The way that I could describe it is like as if the universe, God, source energy, spirit guides, whatever you want to call it. And I felt like I was receiving messages of unity from the universe, and basically like we are all one, there is no separation, we are all united, we are all on a mission together, we are all in this together. It's all a beautiful cycle. You've come from the earth, you work with the earth, you will go back to the earth. You have always been, you will always be, you are safe, you are guided, you are loved, and all your loved ones are as well. Things like that. I was just receiving so much. So I feel like I barely hit the tip of the iceberg, and there was so much waiting, and it's so exciting. I'm not rushing to it, that's for sure, but when the time comes and the moment presents itself, I am honored to dive deeper. So I have come to the conclusion that the more work, and man, do I have a lot of work to do, but
The more work that I put on myself, the more self-love that I cultivate, the clearer my vision gets in my daily life, the more frequent I continue my practices, my spiritual journey, the more clear the messages will get when I partake in these experiences, the more specific the visions and the messages will be. And that's something that I definitely got from my ayahuasca ceremonies in 2016.
Sometimes when I'm tripping, I have a hard time even just wanting to speak and like have conversations. It can be very good, but it's also so much going on for me that it's a little difficult for me to articulate, but I still try and I can. So at one point I just looked over to my friend and I wanted to express like what I was feeling, and I just said, so much information. He was like, so much information coming in and energy. I imagined while I was closing my eyes, or even when I wasn't closing my eyes and I had them open, I would like zone off and imagine all these things. I feel like the mushrooms are like little elves, and they're just, it's like every plant has its own energy, and let's say ayahuasca has grandmother energy, mescaline I think it is, and Pedro I think has like a grandfather energy, I've heard, haven't tried that. And mushrooms are just like little elves to me, and they're just the funniest things, and so from time to time I would imagine the funniest things and just burst out laughing, and then I would get just like really deep insight, and I would just be like emotional, but it's always such a fun ride, and this experience just, I feel like, brought me back to life in so many ways. So at moments I would like laugh because I would realize that these mushroom elves were creating all of this, and that's so cool. I was like, wow, I'm a vessel for what this medicine has to bring to me. And I imagine it like little elves. And I imagined that the mushroom elves, at one point, I imagined something really special. I have a friend who during that time was going through really hard digestive issues. I was really worried for her. I love this person dearly. So while I was tripping, it just presented to me that I could ask for things. Like, this is a medicine. Has its purpose. It's not all about just having fun and let's see what happens. The power of intention is so real. I believe in it so wholeheartedly. And I believe that while you're tripping, especially with mushrooms, you're just connected that much more to source energy, and so like your potential is that much more enhanced, I feel, because you're so much more focused and you're not as distracted with the world and thoughts and worries, etc., that limit that potential, that healing potential that we all have. It just came to me like a vision. I was closing my eyes and I imagined the little elves bringing like a pink cartoon, like an animated octopus. I don't know why. I imagined the pink octopus going to my friend and hugging her in the stomach and wrapping all the tentacles around her and just giving her the biggest, warmest hug. And I felt like the octopus was pure healing power. And it just made me laugh of joy. I cannot believe that I'm seeing a pink cartoon octopus healing my friend right now, but I am, and I fucking love it. I was thinking also, I was just laughing because I knew how crazy it sounds, and I was like, my friend is gonna think I'm insane, but this is just the most beautiful thing to me, and I can know it's so real for me. And I just loved that part of the trip so much. I also forgot to mention that I think it was before the octopus thing, my friend and his friend were rolling a joint of our beautiful Saint Mary. I thought it was just a regular J, and by the way, they did definitely tell me I was just tripping hard, so I guess I didn't realize that they mentioned what was in it, but they were telling me. I didn't catch it. They put changa in it. I don't know how to say it in English or if it's the same. From what I'm informed, it's DMT with other herbs so that it's not just pure DMT. But there's definitely DMT in there. And so when they were smoking it, I smelled something different. And when they passed it to me, it tasted a bit different. But I was tripping and I just thought it was a part of the trip. Turns out, after I was done tripping, or when it was like almost over, my friend was like, yeah, that changa in the J was really great, right? And I was like, what? I didn't realize that that's why it smelled that way. And if you know anything about DMT, you know. It's a very strong, amazing molecule. So maybe that's why I was imagining a pink octopus on my friend and I. Needless to say, it was a beautiful combination. Didn't even notice anything immediate. It just gave me beautiful effects to my already beautiful trip. But I just thought that was funny. So after that, we just kept listening to music and watching these psychedelic visuals. I'll show you some of those that we were watching. They're like infinite fractals. It was so fascinating to see. It's like when you're tripping, you're like a child. That's what I love so much. I know I always mention that. I just love being brought back to my child, like inner child self, and watching everything with wonder in this world and being so present. It's beautiful. By now it was like 4:30 in the morning. The sun was about to rise.
God, I really like to ramble on. To make a long story short, I had so much energy even though I had work the day before and I had to work the day after. But I was just so energized, so motivated and positive, and I wanted to take on the world. But I did need to go home and rest, so I could go to work. So I did.
And that's my story on the mushrooms. Let me know, guys, if you like this kind of video, if you have any questions about the trip, if you have any stories to tell me. I would love to read you down in the comments. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click the notification bell if you care to know when I upload next. Follow me on Instagram. You guys know I love Instagram. Thank you for watching, especially if you watched up until this point. So much love to you wherever you are. I will see you in my next video. Bye.